Hello and welcome to Cooks and Cars. Hi, I'm Rob D'Amico. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, Cooks and Cars is back, and we'll do this every single week of the year. We're going to be talking about, obviously, what the show is about cooks and cars, our Big Green Eggs Grill and Outdoors. For the holidays, we got a special guest coming up. We'll talk about that here in a second. Also, you can go to our website, cooksandcars.com. I got something up there. If you're a big cigar and whiskey guy, there's something on there from Rolls Royce that is truly amazing. So you got to check that out. And again, there's some great blogs up there on how to cook pizza, Brisket 101, also Ferrari, the F30 and the 360. Good blogs up there on the website. Plus, some of the cities will be doing some big events in coming up in 2022. So check that out. But right now, before we get to our big guest, Chris Sussman, the BBQ Buddha, is going to be joining us to talk about Prime Rib 101 for the holidays. It's going to be a great guest. But first, I got to hear from my sponsor, who is obviously the Big Green Egg, the ultimate cooking experience and the gift that everyone enjoys. It's the ultimate gift as well. Give them a smoker, a grill, an outdoor oven, all in one simple to use device with endless possibilities. I'm telling you, you could do your entire dinner to desserts. It's a great gift that keeps on giving. So please check them out online at biggreenegg.com. And you can also cook today, pay tomorrow, and also get home delivery. Great deals. And don't forget to check out the details at biggreenegg.com. All right, we're going to bring on our guest today. We're going to be talking about prime rib because that's a big meal coming up into the new year and into Christmas time here for the holidays. Let me bring on Chris Sussman. And Chris, welcome to the show, man. And thank you for joining us today. And you're down in Florida now, so this is a big change for you.
A huge change for me.
Yeah.
Most of the time, when you would get me on a video conference like this, I would be all dark and red from whiskey and cigars. Now it's the actual sun down here in Florida. So,
I was
yes.
going to say, you got a little tan going now, right?
Yeah. Now it's a solid farmer's tan
Oh,
because,
that's good.
I'm
Yeah.
doing the walking the dogs and getting all that. I haven't been hanging out by the pool and all that. But, yep, my arms and my face are awfully tan
You
this
got
time of year.
you got
So,
the dad bod going for the
yeah,
2022, right? Hey, real
perfect.
quick, the hair, letting it grow out. What you got going on
I
there? Is this
am,
the
I
retirement
figured,
hair?
I'm no longer doing the corporate gig anymore. I'm just going to grow the hair out. I have hair at my age, and so I figured I'm going to use it. But I'm second guessing that decision based on the Florida thing. It's 82 degrees
Oh
down here
man,
right now, and this thing is a floppy hot mess. So I'm going to
yeah.
let it grow out. If it looks good, I'll keep it and do the whole Buddha thing. If not, I'm going back to tight cut into the new year.
Yeah, I had long hair in my radio days back in Tampa, and yeah, it was definitely. I honestly, I never wore it down. I mostly had it all up in a ponytail, and then I was like, "Why am I doing this?" And decided to cut it off. And now I'm afraid I might be balding up top. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm doing like the comb over in certain parts of the hair. It's getting
Yeah.
there. It's funny because a friend of mine down here that has long hair said, "Man, everybody up north always bashes the man bun." He's like, "As soon as your hair gets long, you're going to be having a man bun because it's the only way to keep your head cool in this hot and humid weather." So you might see a man bun Buddha at some point in the near future.
We'll save the website and the social media handles for that. Hey,
Man bun
all right,
Buddha,
man.
hashtag man bun Buddha. I hear it now.
Hey, we're coming into the holidays. We just got past Thanksgiving here in the U.S., and everybody did the turkey. I think this year the big thing was brining it and maybe even doing the spatchcock version of that turkey because I think
Yep.
that was big this year. Heading into the Christmas season, some people stick with the turkey, some people go prime rib. We're talking prime rib today. So, how did you set yours up, and what do you see that meal going into the holiday season this year? Is it the prime rib? Is you think that's the big one that's gonna,
We're doing the
everybody?
prime rib this year, so I've got a big like I've got an 8 pound like 4 bone prime rib, and I have a dry aging machine at home. So we're not going long; we're only going about 20 days. But I dry age the prime rib for this one. As you can see the pictures here, if you're not going to dry age it before, you could do a dry brine the night before. I highly recommend with a large piece of beef like this to salt it about a teaspoon per pound, and you're going to salt that thing tied up with the string so the roast keeps its shape when you cook it. put it on that wire rack and into the fridge overnight. The dry brining process will be awesome. You don't need to, it locks in all that moisture. It makes the meat really tasty, and you don't need to wash it off. That's a misnomer. People like, it'll be too salty. No, the salt works into the meat. It creates that seal. It's amazing. You could still use your favorite rub, or in this instance, the recipe we're looking at, I use an herb to butter for this one.
Yeah, talk about that. I see it in the bowl here. So you have an herb butter. What's all involved in that? Because sometimes they mix this up and they actually refrigerate it back so it comes a solid again. And then what they do is they slice it off and put it on top at the end. But this one you seem to be putting on during the cook. Talk about that.
Yeah, so a lot of times the compound butter, which you just described, you make an herb or a flavored butter, you slice it in a little disc, and that's perfect for a leaner cut of meat, like a filet mignon or Chateaubriand, if you're doing that for the holidays.
Oh,
It's
fancy.
tender. It's tender, so that's why people really covet that meat. But there's not a lot of fat striation through the muscle fibers, so you would use a compound butter to flavor it. With a prime rib, you've got so much fat, you've got all that flavor. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking this herb butter, which I use one of your seasonings. I think I use the coffee ancho espresso rub that you've got. And I use some shallot, some garlic, butter, and you soften that up and you rub it all over the outside of the prime rib. And that gives you a beautiful flavored crust and lots of extra fat on the outside of that meat that gives you additional flavor as it roasts away in the big green egg.
Yeah, you set up your egg. It looks like you did some wood chips here. What did you put in?
I think for this cook, I use the pecan wood chips. And so
Okay.
what I'll do is I'll set up, you see the fire bowl there. And if all of you all have not gotten the fire bowl, especially if you have an extra large or a double XL, it is a game changer. It's got the divider
Yeah.
in there. You've got 2-zone cooking. I love the thing. I'm post about that so much. So I loaded up the fire bowl about 3/4 of the way with your lump charcoal. And then right as I got up to temp, I think for this cook, I was doing it at 325. Right before I put in the prime rib roast, or we're 350 here, and that's my big old finger. And
I'm glad you clarified that.
yeah, it's my big old finger. Hashtag Buddha's big old finger. And then I put the convector in, legs up, and then that awesome drip tray that you have. And I just let this thing roast. I mean, I've done it indirect, the reverse sear before, and that works really well. But if you're short on time, you want to control it a little bit more. That's one of the things about this versatile cooker, Rob. You roast it, so it's like an awesome wood-fired oven, and it cooks in about 2.5 hours when you do it at that temp, when that big of cut of meat.
Yeah, so talk about that. A lot of guys, and my dad being Italian, he used to do the old Godfather thing where they cut up the chunks of garlic and they would
Yeah.
take a knife and stab it and stick it down in there. And I'm like, man, I tell you, maybe that's why I don't eat garlic like I did back then, because I swear he over garlicked everything.
Yeah.
But he,
Now, I've done that with lamb, like little nodules of garlic, like cloves of garlic and rosemary, and you put that in, and then an ice, and that works well with lamb. It might be a little bit overpowering on the meat, but working some garlic in with the butter is a great compromise.
So you got it on the egg, you're letting it ride, the meat's on there, it's starting to look good, you're getting a nice little bark on the outside. Where are we trying to get this thing to? Because a lot of people, and if you go to a government site, they tell you to pull it at 135. If you're pulling this thing at 135, it's overcooked, my man.
The most important thing, that's a great lead in, and I hope that we're going to promote my book a little bit. I've released a book this year, The 4 Fundamentals of Smoking, and I talk about that very thing in the book. The most important thing that people need to know when cooking at all is the concept of carryover cooking. All of that mass stores that energy. That energy needs to be released. So even after you pull it off the grill, all of that energy is stored inside that large protein, and it's going to be released, thus carry over cooking. It's going to continue cooking. So I always pull it about 10 degrees shy of my finished temperature. If I want it 135, I pull it about 125, and I let a big cut like this rest up to 30 minutes before slicing and serving. You'll have a perfect medium rare roast for your holiday meal.
And we're going to show that here. You cooking, I'm sorry, cutting it here after it's been resting. But resting is very important. And I do agree that you pull it, 123, 125, wherever you want it to end up. You always, it's about 3 to 5 degrees, somewhere in there. Some people even go, they'll say it'll go 10 degrees, but I've never seen that big of a jump, but I guess it could, the way you're wrapping it and what you're storing. If you're putting it in a cooler or just leaving it tented, I
Right.
can see how that could happen. Absolutely. But for me, I'll let it rest. I usually let it rest for about 30, 40 minutes at a big piece like this. A
Right.
steak, you're only doing about 7 to 10 minutes, and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing about resting, you're not over letting it do the carryover cooking, but think about it. This is a big muscle from the cow. And the muscle, what it will do is contract when it's exposed to the heat. And that contraction is pulling in all of this moisture that's being expressed from the muscle fibers. And so when that moisture is pulled into the center, because that's the way the muscle fibers are protecting itself being exposed to the heat. So letting it rest not only allows for the carryover temperature to rise to the finished temperature, it allows the muscle fibers to relax and all of that natural juice to be redistributed amongst all the fibers. So it couldn't be any more important than especially a big meal like this to rest it. Like you said, a prime rib roast, 30, 40 minutes, it's still going to be warm, it's going to be
Yeah.
perfect, and you're going to be in total control of your holiday dinner experience.
Yeah. You're going to look like a cooking stud out there for the holidays. There's no doubt about that.
Exactly.
Hey,
Exactly.
I want you to explain, because I watched your video, and if you're going to watch the video with Chris Sussman, it's below in the description, and on this page you'll find his video on there. You can also go here. We'll go to your website here real quick, and you can see on your website that if you scroll down on the homepage here, you go to beef. You can click beef, and then here's this the bone-in prime rib. This is exactly where you're going to be. This is the link that's your post here, and right there's the video. But we'll also have that on our page at Cooks and Cars, and then we'll also get it up on the website as well. But real quick, you were doing a cook. You do this prime rib. You pull it off. You start to slice into it. What's going on here? What happened?
It's been a while. So usually when I do a bone-in prime rib, you separate the bones from the prime rib and then you tie it back onto the prime rib. And why you do that, you're insulating the meat, right? Because one side has the fat cap, the other side is a little bit more exposed to the heat in the grill.
Yeah.
And also all the bones have that the delicious intermuscular fat, and as it renders, you're just getting more flavor into that. The problem is the bones have the equivalent of the silver skin, like if you're doing ribs, and it's really, really tough. And as it cooks, especially in a higher heat, like I did at 350, it gets really tough. And I was filming this for my YouTube channel, and I said, "Hey,
Brain farts.
I'm not going to blow this whole cook. I'm not going to get to the finish line and blow this blog post at YouTube." So I went in and put a big failed on there and let people know, you separate the bones. If you want the bone on, if you're going to serve it at Christmas dinner or your holiday meal, you're going to serve it with bone on. Keep in mind, usually roasts are 3 to 4 bones. So unless there's 3 to 4 people there, somebody's going to feel left out. So that's why people, again, take off the bones. But if you're going to serve a bone on, make sure to pull that membrane off so it's easier for you to slice in between the bones. Now, clean up those bones before you cook it on your big green egg.
Great tips. There's no doubt about that. Chris, real quick before we head out, your book, some information. Where can people find it?
You could get it on Amazon and it'll ship to you immediately, as Amazon is literally delivering stuff in real time now for the holiday season. But if you want an autographed copy, go to thebarbqbuddha.com, www.thebarbqbuddha.com, all one word, and go to shop, and you can order a signed autograph book from me. And then I'm running a holiday special now where if you order it before Christmas, I'll get it to you to put it under your tree. And I throw in a free t-shirt for you as well. The book is all about cooking and smoking. And I go into the first half of the book is narrative, and I go over all the fundamentals I've learned of how you impart smoke flavor, why it's so important. What do you do about humidity, controlling the temperature? And then there's 50 recipes in there. And you know me, they're all geared towards the big green egg. Even though it's a generic barbecue book, I'm giving the big green egg lots of love. And my website is all big green egg recipes. So there you go. I may
All
be a
right.
little addicted to the experience, Mr. Rob.
Well, that's good, man. That's what we love, man. You're part of the hashtag BG Team Green as well. So you can see them at biggreenegg.com and check those guys out. a whole cast of characters there cooking on the Big Green Egg and doing some of their cool dishes all year long. You can check them out from dinners to desserts. Like I said earlier, this thing can get it done. It's the most versatile grill on the planet, and if you love charcoal grilling, this is the one for you. And for the holidays, makes a great gift. I want to say that. And for the holidays, what is Mrs. Buddha getting Mr. Buddha today?
What is Mrs. Buddha getting Mr.
Yeah,
Buddha
for the
today? I
holidays.
have no idea. I've given her a little list of wish lists and stuff, and we'll see what's coming in. I mean, I have all the gadgets in the world, so it's hard to ask for anything for the Big Green Egg itself. But I think I have a bunch of books on that list and some photography props, because you got to always iterate and improve
That's right.
your social media presence, as we were talking about the other night. So there you go.
No doubt. All right, Chris, thank you so much. Enjoy the holidays and say hi to Mrs. Buddha for me, and I hope she gets well soon.
Thank you. Tell Jody and Bob and everybody back at the mothership I said Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year. I miss seeing you guys, and I hope to see you soon. Rob, Merry Christmas to you and your family, okay?
All right, man. Take care. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Ciao.
All right. Now I want to make sure, again, you go to biggreenegg.com and also go to our website, cooksandcars.com. Again, you'll find some great stories about pizza, brisket 101. We're going to have this Chris Sussman's BBQ Buddha. His prime rib holiday 101 video is going to be on there as well. But we'll have links to his site, and all his social media is going to be up there at Cooks and Cars. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next week, I'm Rob D'Amico. We'll see you then.